Imagine it is night. You are tired. Not a little tired. The kind of tired where your legs feel heavy, your back hurts, your eyes sting, and the only thing your body wants is to drop onto the ground. So you do. You lie down on the cave floor, and almost immediately, the ground starts fighting you. It is cold. It is hard. There are little stones under your ribs. The dirt sticks to your skin. Something tiny crawls near your ankle. And now you have a problem. Because sleeping sounds simple. You close your eyes and then you wake up later. But for ancient humans, sleep was one of the most dangerous things the body had to do every single day. When you sleep, you cannot run. You cannot watch the dark. You cannot slap insects away. You cannot protect a baby. You cannot notice a snake until it is already too close. So the strange question is not, why did humans invent soft beds? The better question is, why did humans start preparing a sleeping surface at all? Because the first bed was not really a bed. It was not a wooden frame. It was not a mattress. It was not comfort furniture. It was probably grass, leaves, ash, a chosen patch of ground that had been changed by human hands. And that small change mattered. A layer of grass between your body and the floor does three very basic things. First, it makes the ground less painful. That sounds obvious, but obvious things are sometimes survival things. If you wake up sore, cold, and bitten, you do not move well the next day. And if you do not move well, you gather less, hunt worse, carry less, and notice danger more slowly. Second, bedding keeps you drier and warmer. The ground steals heat from your body. Stone and packed dirt can feel cold even when the air is not freezing. A thick plant layer traps a little air. It lifts your skin away from damp earth. It turns the floor from an enemy into something your body can tolerate. Third, bedding gives insects a harder job. This may be one of the most important parts, because a night on the ground is not only uncomfortable, it is alive. Fleas, larvae, mosquitoes, ticks, ants, and other pests are not a small annoyance if you sleep beside them every night. They bite, they wake you, they can carry disease, they can make babies miserable. And once a sleeping place becomes dirty, old bedding can become part of the problem. So ancient bedding was not just placed. It had to be managed. This is where the archaeology gets really interesting. In South Africa, at a place called Sibudu Cave, researchers found evidence of very old grass bedding. Not just one little clump. Repeated layers, grass, ash, more plant material, more signs of fire. The layers are roughly around 200,000 years old, with some plant remains dated even older within the broader range. That is so old that we have to slow down and be careful. These were not modern beds. Nobody found a pillow with a label on it. What they found were plant remains and ash patterns that look like prepared sleeping areas. But that is already enough to change the story, because it means people were not simply using caves like animals use a random shelter. They were changing the floor. They were making a place inside the place, and they seem to have done it again and again. Think about what that means. Someone had to collect the grass. Someone had to carry it back. Someone had to spread it where bodies would sleep. Someone had to notice when it got old, and someone had to deal with the mess. At Sibudu Cave, fire and ash are part of the pattern. Ash can form a cleaner layer. It can dry a surface. It may also make life harder for crawling insects. So the sleeping place may have worked like a simple system: put down plants, sleep on them. When they get dirty, burn or cover the old layer, then put down new plants. It is not luxury, it is maintenance, it is housekeeping before houses. And then tens of thousands of years later, another South African site gives an even clearer clue. At Sibudu Cave, researchers found bedding about 77,000 years old. This bedding was made from sedges and other plants, but the top layer is the part that jumps out. It included leaves from Cape Laurel. Those leaves are aromatic. When crushed, they contain chemicals with insecticidal and larvicidal properties. In simple words, these leaves were not just soft, they may have helped keep bugs away. That does not prove every ancient person was walking around as a plant chemist, but it does show something powerful. People were paying attention. They knew which plants felt better. They knew which plants smelled strong. They may have noticed which plants made a sleeping place less miserable. And once a group notices that, the knowledge can spread. Not in a classroom, not in a book, just by watching. A child sees an older person gather certain leaves. Someone complains less after sleeping on one kind of plant. A mother puts a baby on the cleaner patch. A group returns to the same shelter and remembers what worked last time. This is how a bed becomes culture. Not because one genius invents the mattress, but because many tired bodies remember what helped them survive the night. There is another reason beds matter. They organize the group. When humans sleep, they often do it near other humans. That sounds normal now, but it is important. A group sleeping together can share warmth. It can protect children. It can keep a fire going. It can make it more likely that someone is awake when danger appears. Modern studies of some non-industrial groups show that sleep is often shaped by fire, temperature, age, social timing, and nighttime vigilance. That does not mean ancient sleep was exactly the same, but it reminds us that sleep is not only biological, it is social. Where you sleep tells the group something. Who is near the fire? Who is near the children? Who is close to the entrance? Who gets the dry patch? Who is pushed to the edge? A prepared sleeping area can become a map of relationships. It can show care. It can show status. It can show who belongs. And it can show that the group plans to come back. That may be the quietest part of the whole story. A bed is a sign of return. If you are only passing through, you may sleep wherever you collapse. But if you prepare a surface, clean it, burn old bedding, add new plants, and keep using the same place, you are doing something different. You are saying, this spot matters. This is where the night happens. This is where the body becomes helpless, so the group has to make the ground safer. That is why the first beds were not really about softness. Softness was a bonus. The deeper reason was control. Control over cold, control over insects, control over dirt, control over where vulnerable bodies went in the dark. And this also explains why the story is hard to see archaeologically. Stone tools survive, bones survive, shell beads survive, but grass usually disappears. Leaves rot, plant mats vanish. So when we find bedding at all, we are probably seeing a tiny surviving piece of a much bigger behavior. Humans may have been making simple sleeping surfaces long before the evidence survived. We just cannot prove every step. And that uncertainty should stay in the story. The oldest beds we can point to are not the first beds that ever existed. They are the first ones that archaeology has let us see. Now think about your bed today. It looks nothing like a pile of grass in a cave. It has sheets, a pillow, a frame, maybe a blanket that is too warm, then somehow too cold 5 minutes later. But the old problem is still inside it. Your mattress lifts you away from the floor. Your sheets make a clean layer around your skin. Your blanket traps warmth. Your bedroom is a controlled sleeping zone. It is private. It is protected. It tells your body that danger is low enough to disappear for a few hours. That is what ancient humans were trying to build with grass, ash, leaves, fire, memory, and group habits. Not a luxury object. A safer way to become unconscious, because every night the human body has to do something ridiculous. It has to turn off. In a world that does not turn off, and maybe the first bed was the answer to that problem. Not perfect safety, not modern comfort, just a thin layer between a sleeping body and everything waiting on the ground.